chucking up them deuces. Shout out Brazy. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squeeze the Juice, episode 22. Oh, yeah. Me and Evan are back. Whew. We had a week. Better for Evan, for me, last week. But I don't know. Before we run through it, it was an unfortunate week. It was an unfortunate week because things just weren't falling the right way. I mean, there were so many close games again. And I don't know. College basketball is too much of the... It's not even luck of the draw. It's just no hope. Because you don't know what to do. But anyway, Evan, how are you doing this week?
Oh, man, dude. What a week it was. That was a tough Sunday slate. I mean, I felt good about almost every single pick that we made. And there was only one where you're watching the game and you're like, okay, that's probably not going to hit. And that was the Bulls minus 5.5.
I know.
The other ones, though, the other losses that we have are like the ones that we shared. I was stunned that we lost those games. Like, absolutely stunned. So let's kick it off. Recapping episode 21. Myself, I was 3-3. Look, I did say I was coming back with a vengeance. I didn't. But I didn't
not.
I was even 3-3. I'll take it, honestly. Where my record was going, I'll take it. I was only 1-2 in college, but it felt like I could have been 3-0. Justin was 0-3 in college. Brutal. NBA, I was 2-1, so I got that win back, I guess, to get even. And then Justin was 1-2 in the NBA. So let's recap those college hoops. First game, Houston versus Memphis. Memphis plus 5.5. And what do you know? Came down to a buzzer beater. I was so happy the game did not go to overtime because that's where you kind of lose a bet. That is right where you lose a bet. Memphis plus 5.5. They covered. I was happy about that one. Justin minus 5.5 on the Cougars. Obviously not.
They were up, man.
Yeah, Memphis had a late push, and they almost won the game. Probably should have won the game.
Yeah, you could argue that.
They just were playing with an energy, playing with a toughness that I liked. You hate to see it, but Memphis, that's an interesting team. That's a team that sleep on them for the tournament. I think they can make some noise. Second game, Maryland versus Penn State. We were on Penn State minus 1.5, and Penn State won on a buzzer beater by 1 point.
They were down like 20 the whole game,
They
man.
were down big. They come back, and of course, they win by 1. We should have just bet Penn State money line. That's a tough one. That was a tough one to swallow. That's a bad beat. That's the definition of a bad beat. Penn State minus 1.5. We're just going to move on.
I don't like beats.
Because we have another bad beat for you. Michigan versus Indiana. Now, let me tell you something. Reese Thompson, he's got 4 free throws at the end of the game, at the end of overtime to hit. He's got 4 of them. And he misses all 4. I'm sorry. This is college basketball. This is not high school basketball. This is not middle school basketball. This is not grade school basketball. This is NCAA men's basketball. You mean to tell me you're going to miss 4 free throws in a row? Get off the free throw line. Get the ball out of your hands and give it to someone else that can shoot from the line. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this nonsense. Another bad beat, and it comes in the Big Ten. Indiana minus 3.5. They win by 2. Michigan's season is over, and Indiana doesn't cover the spread. Justin, as the noted Wolverine on this just amazing, lovely program, tell me how you're feeling about this game, because this was a double loss for you.
The thing is, I was already upset because, even if they won that, there was a good chance that Michigan still wasn't going to make the tournament, just the way they were playing. And that was kind of solidified yesterday, I believe, or a day or two ago, once they played Rutgers and lost. But to lose that way off of 4 free throws, going against the team that I want to win and picking the Hoosiers, and they should have won it off of some man who can't drop a free throw. I'll teach you a few. I've made 30-plus in a row. I will not get in game, but...
If he hits 2 of the 4, we cover that spread. 50% from the free throw line is egregious, and we still hit if he hits 2 of 4. If he goes 50%, we still hit the bet. He went 0 for 4. Get the ball out of your hands, son. Get the ball out of your hands.
After you go 0 for 2. If you don't make if you miss those first 2, you're done.
We're moving on. I can't. On to the NBA. Suns versus Mavs. That was a great game. That was an absolutely phenomenal game. If you had the opportunity to watch that game on Sunday afternoon, fantastic display of basketball. Suns plus 1.5. We both hit on that one. KD, D-Book, Chris Paul down the stretch. That's the talent level there. That's the factor. Luka had a chance to tie the game too. He missed the bucket. Just one more bucket made by the Suns, and that was it. That was a phenomenal game, though. Back and forth, terrific. I was, obviously rooting for the Suns to cover the spread, but even if they didn't, at least I could be like, damn, that was a really good basketball game. Unlike the other, college games where I just wanted to rip my hair out, this one was like, I can appreciate it. That was your only one on the day, though. That was your only one on the day. Game 2, Pacers-Bulls.
I can't believe it.
I mean,
I rocked with the Bulls, man, but I'm like, the Pacers are just going to do it to me because the Bulls are what I stated on here, didn't I? I said there's one weird team in both
Bulls,
conferences.
Yep.
The Bulls and the Kings. And the Kings are now second in the West.
Yep. And the Bulls, they keep plummeting down the Eastern Conference standings. And look, this was a tie game, right? This game was tied. And Tyrese Haliburton comes up clutch and hits like a 30-foot homer. That was basically what it was. It was an absolute moonshot. It was from the logo. I was like, Tyrese, are you kidding me?
Could have had him.
That was insane. Yeah, the Pistons could have had him.
And Mathurin.
But no, what a shot that was. That was literally like a 500-foot home run, the shot that he hit. It was so far out. I was like, you're pulling up with that? Like, that's the shot to win the game? It's crazy. I love Tyrese, though. He's a great player. Pacers win. I was hoping for overtime. We needed overtime. We didn't get it. Bulls did not cover the -5.5 spread. That spread looked weird. I just don't get the Bulls. I mean, you follow up that performance against Phoenix, you get blown out at home by like 20 points, and that's how you follow it up. Just, they're a sad team. And they just have, I think you're right about Lonzo. Reports are that he's now done. He's getting another procedure. He's going to be out for a while now. Like, the whole summer.
Yeah,
this whole summer's probably gone. I mean, maybe Lonzo really is the straw that stirs the drink in Chicago because they have not been the same team. It's unfortunate, but I'm not complaining because it's the Bulls, and I don't like the Bulls. So, Game 3, though, I kind of warned you about this one, Warriors-Lakers.
I know. Lakers have been playing. They're
Anthony
number one.
Davis.
They're number one in like defensive rating right now.
Anthony Davis has absolutely turned it up since LeBron went down. No surprise because
He needed to.
AD, when he is in control, when he's the clear number one, he can be that guy. He looks like a top 5 player when he's the guy. When he takes a back seat is when you're like, where's Anthony Davis? I don't see him. His impact is minimal. But when he's the guy, and he lets you know that he's the guy. Lakers played phenomenal against the Warriors.
That's a shopping cart. You know why? Maybe they should be shopping LeBron.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I know, they couldn't.
As much as I don't like LeBron.
You can't. Yeah, but think about it. Think about what you could get potentially in return. And with the defensive team that's moving right now, and Anthony Davis playing well, if he's healthy, that's the biggest thing. If he's healthy. That makes or breaks everything.
Right. But the Lakers won that game. Lakers +5 was the pick. I wish I took Lakers money line, get the plus odds, but hey, I'm not going to complain about a win. You were on Warriors -5. That was unfortunate.
They played bad.
In my opinion. It was Steph's first game back, and that's why the spread looked weird to me. It was Steph's coming back. This Warriors team is hot. They're just not a good road team. They do not travel well for whatever reason, which is weird because usually teams that have been around for a while, championship caliber, what's the one thing that they do well?
Play good on the road.
Play good on the road. The Warriors are not that team this year.
And
it's weird.
And they're not in a good spot if come playoff time to have any home series.
No. So Warriors got to put together some wins quickly here, as we approach April already. It's crazy to say it, but yeah, playoffs are right around the corner in the NBA, and the Warriors are going to have to win some games on the road here. I mean, that's the big thing in the playoffs is winning on the road. You win one game on the road, that changes the entire outlook of the series. If the Warriors cannot do that, they have no shot in the postseason, which is shocking. Now, some of it you can, relate to Steph being out and some of the other injuries they've had, Wiggins as well, but their record is indicative of something greater because it's bad. I believe they're 7-26 on the road.
I think so, yeah.
That's just horrible.
Digits,
that is
yeah.
horrendous. But that's the recap. 3-3 for me last week. 1-2 in college. 2-1 in the NBA. Justin was 1-5 last week. 0-3 in college. 1-2 in the NBA. This week is a little bit different.
Taking a breather
because with the conference tournament coming out, we only had one episode coming out this week, so we couldn't get to you guys soon enough to give you our conference tournament picks, which was a little unfortunate, but that's okay because, quite frankly, we would have given you some duds. So, saved you guys some money. You're welcome. But we are going to talk Final Four odds, national champion odds. We have breaking news in the NFL. Excuse me. We're going to talk about that. And then we're going to finish the episode off with a little STJ mock, first round mock. Me and Justin are going to go consecutive picks here, or every other pick, I guess.
Yeah,
that's how we're doing it.
Yeah.
I'm on the clock first. We flipped a coin, landed on me. So I'll be picking first for the now new team on the clock, and that is the Carolina Panthers. We're going to get into that very shortly here, but let's first talk about those college basketball teams that are going to be contending for the Final Four and a national championship. Justin, let's kick it off, my friend.
Final Four. It's so early to think about. And it's weird that I feel like in the past, maybe it was I think it might have been just last year, but last year and this year, it's increasingly continues, but I keep feeling more and more that there is no, that is the team that can win it all. Everybody is too unpredictable. But, I mean, that's part of the NCAA tournament. Everything's unpredictable. One moment can ride you to glory. But
100%.
It's so tough looking at just that top 25. Everyone has a weakness somewhere. Current top 25 as of today, you got Houston, UCLA, Kansas, Bama, Purdue, Marquette. I didn't know Marquette was that good, realistically. I haven't been on top of college basketball that much, but I didn't know
Marquette's been great.
You got Texas, Arizona, Gonzaga, Baylor, UConn, the boys of K-State, Virginia, Miami, Xavier, St. Mary's, Tennessee, Texas A&M, the Hoosiers, San Diego State, Duke, TCU, Kentucky, Creighton, and Missouri to round it off. Straight up, it's so hard for me not to enjoy Kansas again because I picked them to win it last year, and they did.
Kansas right now plus 850 to repeat as national champions, plus 220 to get back to the Final Four. So if you're looking for value, the big word value, they're currently holding the third best odds to both win the national championship and get to the Final Four. The only two teams ahead of them are Houston and Alabama.
I like that. I was literally thinking about that. I think Kansas can get to the Final Four.
I absolutely agree.
I don't think they'll win back-to-back.
And I also agree.
I think they have a guy or two, but I don't think they have enough of that veteran confidence that they did last year. They have one guard, I forget.
Jalen Wilson.
Yes, Jalen Wilson.
DeJuan Harris.
They
have guys that have been there last year. The thing with Kansas is Bill Self, we don't know his health status. He'll
be out for
he was hospitalized. He's going to be out for the Big 12 tournament. Now, does he...
Him not being there?
Yeah, does he have...
Prolong?
Yeah, how long is he going to be in the hospital? Is he going to be able to coach in the NCAA tournament? I mean, there's a good amount of time between now and then for him to get healthy, but if he's not healthy enough to travel, healthy enough to coach, that impacts Kansas's odds of getting there. I mean, I know it's the same coaching staff, but Bill Self is a big reason why they're successful, and you need him. I mean,
That's why players go there. The youth can still
Exactly.
look to him, be like, "You're the head coach. Like, I trust what you're gonna tell me
Exactly.
in this moment." And he's been there. Dude's coming off a national championship
exactly.
win. Like,
Like
he's not new. He knows what to do.
No, but if you're looking at teams that I like to make the Final Four that are a little bit longer odds, how about Kansas State? Your Wildcats,
Yeah.
Keontae Johnson and, oh my gosh, what's his name? Marquise Noel, I think. I might be butchering his name. But,
Yeah, you're right.
yep. Okay.
Or Marcus Noel. One of
Yeah, Marquise Noel, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's the senior.
Yes.
The senior.
Absolute facilitator. Whenever I've turned on Kansas State, he's the guy that pops up on my screen. Kansas State, they're plus 1,000 to make the Final Four. I really like that. That's great. That is a great number. I mean, that's 10 to win 100. I think Kansas State could easily do it, depending on the bracket. We don't know the bracket yet. We don't know how it's going to shake out, but Kansas State is a beatable 3 seed. I think that's where they'll end up. They're a beatable 3 seed, but I also think that they have the roster makeup to go far in the tournament.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's a great one. Outside of the top 10, I feel like that one's the most logical. Aside from that, you could throw in Tennessee, but I'm still too concerned with Tennessee.
I cannot get on Tennessee. I can't get on any SEC team currently outside of Kentucky, honestly, because look, Kentucky, we all know what happened last year. They lose to St. Pete's. I expect them to bounce back under Coach Cal. It's not going to be acceptable to lose to St. Peter's and then followed up with another, first, second round loss. I think that Kentucky can go somewhere in this tournament, depending on where they end up. I think if they win the SEC tournament, that's massive for their seeding. If they can get to the 6 line, I think that's really big. 6, maybe even the 5. They're plus 900 to make the Final Four, which shorter odds than Kansas State, who's been a better team all season long, and they've been in obviously the best conference in college basketball, the Big 12. But
Coach Cal.
it's the Coach Cal effect. It's the Kentucky effect. They have the talent. Oscar Tshiebwe, he's a National Player of the Year. I like Kentucky too, plus 900. If you're looking for maybe some more quote-unquote favorites, how about UCLA? Plus 340. They haven't really been battle-tested like a lot of other teams in college basketball, but Tiger Campbell, Jaime Jaquez, they got Amari Bailey, the 5-star. They got dudes in UCLA, and
They're number 2.
Mick Cronin's an absolute stud of a head coach. UCLA could easily do it. They need to get on the 1 seed line, though. They absolutely need to get on the 1 seed line because Purdue is kind of vying for it right now, and if Purdue wins the Big Ten tournament, I think Purdue gets the 1 seed. I need to see UCLA as the 1 seed because as a 2 seed, it's not that I lose my faith necessarily in UCLA, but the road to getting to the Final Four as a 1 seed is so much easier than as a 2 seed.
Do you think Houston, Bama, and Kansas are locked for 1 seeds?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's between Purdue and UCLA to get the last 1 seed?
That's where I'm leaning. It seems like that's where Vegas is leaning to because the top 1 seeds typically will have the shortest odds to get to the
I get it.
Final Four.
I definitely agree with it. Should be out of the 4, definitely for the top 5 because I don't think Marquette, Texas, Arizona, Gonzaga, any of them deserve the 1 seed. But absolutely.
But I'm out on Alabama getting to the Final Four and win the national championship. I love Brandon Miller. Aside from everything that's going on, I love him as a player, and
good team.
They're a good team, but I just don't see them getting there. I think too much has happened. Could they get there under normal circumstances? I think yes, but even then, I just don't know if I'm totally bought in. They haven't really won convincingly over the past few weeks. That's just concerning to me. That's just really concerning to me. So Alabama is out for me as a Final Four team. I like Houston a lot. I
think Houston just has. I don't see Houston. I don't see how Houston doesn't for sure make the Elite 8.
They got some dudes.
I just don't see it.
Walker, Sheed, Shed,
bring back
Sasser.
Phi Slamma Jamma.
They're legit. Houston's legit. And that gritty, tough win against Memphis on the road, that kind of shows you what Houston is made of, that championship caliber. I like Houston to get back to the Final Four. They're a couple years ago. I think they get back. I think they got a real chance to win it all, but yeah, I really like Kansas State. I like Houston. I like Kentucky, and I like UCLA. Like, that's not the Final Four I'm picking right now, but I really like Kansas State at plus 1,000. I think that's a steal. I think that's a really good pick. I think I might put that on. That is my pick. The pick, my lock right now. Get them before it goes up because it's going to go up. Kansas State plus 1,000, make the Final Four.
Juice.
That's my pick.
It's a juice pick, man.
That's my Final Four. That's like if I could give you one Final Four pick where you're getting some numbers that I like, you're getting a team that I like, it's Kansas State.
I can make the run. The only other three teams outside the top 10, subtracting Kansas State, that I could see now, barely saying Indiana. These are teams that can make a run. Duke, and then maybe TCU. Those would be the three teams that I could say maybe could make a run.
How about a weird team for you?
Xavier.
To make the Final Four. I just want to see something really quick.
You going to give me the team? Are you looking at the team?
I have the team. I just want to see where they're at. Okay. So, the Missouri Tigers.
At 25.
They are plus 5,000 to make the Final Four. If you go to Ken Pom, their adjusted offensive efficiency, they are 7th in the country. But their defense is 187th in the country. So this is a team that is going to play high-scoring games. Their offense is going to have to be absolutely on fire for 4 games. But at plus 5,000 to make the Final Four, could Missouri do it?
I don't think so.
It's a long shot, but
That's what you got to love, a long shot.
the plus. I mean, you give the fans some crazy odds here. Plus 5,000 to make the Final Four. I don't think it's out of this world.
No, I don't disagree. I can't see it. It's hard for me to see.
They did just beat Tennessee today.
That's fair.
I mean, they scored 79 points. Could they? I think they could do it. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's out of this world. Plus 5,000 is crazy. I mean, that's a massive long shot. But I think if you're looking at one team, like let's say you really want a long shot, someone that really is out there. I mean, Missouri, they're hot right now.
They're 23-8.
They got a good record. They don't have a ton of like signature wins, I guess, but this is one right here. You beat Tennessee, you knocked them off in the SEC tournament. Why not Missouri? Why not? Plus 5,000.
Missouri, why not?
Throw 5 bones on them and see what happens. If they make it to the Final Four, you're celebrating. I mean, maybe wait to see who they play, but that's a long shot that I like. Are there any other massive underdogs that you could see making it? I mean,
I don't trust Virginia. I don't trust Miami. Xavier is just they show up every 4 years and
Xavier
are good.
plus 1,500. They've been solid in the Big East this year. What about Creighton? I feel like we haven't talked about Creighton enough, but
I was looking at them in A&M.
they had a rough stretch kind of earlier on, kind of middle of the year. They're now plus 650 to make the Final Four.
Interesting.
And if you look at national championship odds,
they always have a
plus
random
3,500.
team.
I mean, look, it's not great, but they're in the top like 15 teams to win it all, according to FanDuel. That's not out of the equation. They got guys there, Ryan Nembhard, Kalkbrenner. They got studs there. I mean, Creighton was supposed to be. They were preseason ranked number 9, I believe.
Really?
They came out hot. Then they kind of got into a lull. They lost the likes of Nebraska. I mean, I don't know. I like Creighton. I think that's a sneaky team. Depending on where they're seated, I like Creighton. They're going to be a little underseated. They're going to be a little undervalued when it comes to like the actual bracket selection. But don't be surprised if they make a run because they have guys. And Greg McDermott is a phenomenal basketball coach. I could see Creighton making a run, absolutely. But other than that, that's really all I got. My favorite is Kansas State by far. Plus 1,000. You got Marquise Noel. You got Keontae Johnson.
Boys.
They got guys in Kansas State. And truthfully, they're battle-tested. The Big 12 was an absolute slugfest.
Yeah.
They just lost in the Big 12 tournament. So while Some might say, why are you picking the
Unfortunate.
team that just lost the Big 12 tournament?
Rest it up.
Get a little rest. Get a little rest for these guys. They've been playing an absolute slaughterhouse. That's what the Big 12 has been. It's been an absolute grind. You get a little
tournament.
rest. Yeah, might as well. I mean, Kansas State plus 1,000, that's my pick of the day. Making the Final Four, national championship, I don't know, they're plus 5,500.
How can I hate on my boys? How can I hate on my boys? That's my boys.
Those are
K-State,
your guys.
K-State, football, basketball, whatever it is, bring it to me.
Alrighty, well, that's our preview of college basketball in terms of March Madness. We are going to have a full bracket breakdown as soon as they release. Well, not as soon as they release, but in the days following the release of Selection Sunday. We cannot be more excited for that. We are going to be absolutely vibing on the show. We're going to have brackets filled out. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to see where these teams shake out, because I'm telling you right now, if you like a team to make the Final Four or to win it all, pick them now, because when those brackets get released, depending on who's in each region, you're either going to have better value than before or worse value. But I presume you'd have better value by making the pick now as opposed to waiting until Selection Sunday and you realize Kansas State has a really favorable region. I kind of like them as a 3 seed to get to the Final Four, and then you'll see more people buying in, more people picking that team. And what do you know? Kansas State's now plus 750 as opposed to plus 1,000. So get it while you can. Get it while it's hot. If you like a team, go for it now.
It's hot. It's hot in here. Enough said.
Enough said. All right. So we are on to NFL talk. It's been a minute since we've talked NFL. And a major trade went down right before we kicked off today's show. Let's discuss. So, the Chicago Bears have now traded the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers. Trade compensation, pick 9, pick 61, a first in 2024, a second in 2025, and one of my favorite receivers in the league, DJ Moore, headed to Chicago for the number 1 pick, that coveted number 1 pick. What are your initial thoughts on this trade? Obviously, as Lions fans, this does affect us in more ways than one. Tell me what you're feeling just overall on this trade and maybe a broader perspective.
Right off the bat, I was waiting for it because it seemed pretty obvious that the Bears were probably going to shop this pick as the days went on. I mean, if they were quarterback needy, this would be an irrelevant trade, irrelevant conversation. This never would have happened. But I'm intrigued that the Panthers were the ones to go up and get it. I was expecting more so the Colts to be the ones to move, and I think that was kind of the rumor swirling around that would be them. But the Panthers went all in, new head coach. You've been getting rid of guys over the years. You just got rid of McCaffrey. Now you're sending what you could consider the last major piece of kind of like the little post-Cam Newton era, I guess, away. And you have a young defense that's been on the rise, so why not, just rebuild from point A and go get what you want. And if you see a guy that you want, go get him. And, it's quite a haul that the Bears got, but they needed it. It's worth it because there's more guys, now that for the, I guess, in the QB slot that they could take. And clearly they saw something in one of those guys and they want to go get it. And I love it for the Bears too, because they need a receiver badly. Not that Claypool and Mooney are horrible. They just need a legit one guy.
They need a guy.
Yeah. Those guys can't, neither of them can be receiver 1. Mooney in the slot, Claypool is maybe a 2. Probably need another guy for sure. But I mean, Cole Kmet, he's more of a blocker, but he still can be a good tight end. If you protect Fields, you just need a good back.
Well, they got Khalil Herbert. And at number 9, they should be in the market for an offensive lineman, which is what they probably wanted all along. And I think if you're Ryan Poles, you're thinking, I cannot drop out of the top 10. right? If I'm trading number 1, the furthest I can go back is 9. And that's exactly what he did. He got the most he could have gotten. Indianapolis was not going to give you that package. Houston was not going to give you that package. Oakland, Vegas, Atlanta, they were not going to give you that package. They got an absolute haul for the number 1 pick. And DJ Moore is a certified stud. I love him as a receiver. It sucks because he's on my dynasty team that I have. And I was thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me. DJ Moore, he's going from what was
top 10.
I don't know. I mean, Carolina
always a consistent.
He was just getting his targets in Carolina. Now I don't know if that's the case because Justin Fields has been more of a run first quarterback, and now how much are they going to throw the ball? That's to be determined. But they should be throwing the ball a lot more, and they should be focusing on protecting Justin Fields now. They could go sign Orlando Brown Jr. to a massive deal. They got the most cap space in the NFL. Then they can draft Pete Skoronski, who's projected to be a guard at the next level. Northwestern, he's right in your backyard. You had those two guys, your offensive line. The Bears could be legitimate contenders in the NFC North, and that's not crazy to say because just because you send Orlando Brown, you're still going to have probably $50 to $60 million left to work with.
Put a little on the defense that you
Throw
sold away.
Exactly. So they added pick 61 too. So now they have a ton to work with. They already had a second rounder from the Ravens. They traded their own to the Bears, or to the Bears traded their own to the Steelers for Claypool. Just mind-blowing in my opinion, but c'est la vie. The Bears set themselves up nicely. Now it's on them. It's on their scouting department and their front office to make the right picks, but getting DJ Moore, absolutely massive for them. And there's no more excuses for Justin Fields so long as they get guys that can protect him. He's got all the weapons he needs. They'll probably address running back. They'll probably draft one or sign one.
Deuce.
They're gonna Deuce Vaughn, maybe. They're gonna sign or draft offensive linemen, and they have a good receiving core now of DJ Moore, Mooney, and Claypool.
Yeah,
they got
they're
guys.
all capable.
They
They're
got
all
guys
capable.
for sure. So it's really interesting. Then from Carolina's perspective, I think you said something really important that I'm gonna touch on a little bit more. Trading DJ Moore was obviously that's gonna hurt, and that's gonna impact the way that their offense is run. But the defense, Carolina's defense is super crazy talented. And it's super young and it's going under the radar. They were able to keep that defense intact because Chicago could have easily said, give us J.C. Horn, give us Brian Burns. You know, they were able to keep those guys intact, which I think is more important for the Panthers because in that NFC South division, there's not a ton around them in terms of, okay, you got Derek Carr and the Saints, you know, who knows with them?
Kyle Trask, potentially.
Kyle Trask and the Buccaneers.
And Desmond Ritter,
and the Falcons. So they're going to get their guy at 1. And we're going to touch on that in just a second here. But that defense is going to be a top 10 unit, or at least it should be. And for them to be able to keep that intact, they're going to build around the defense, and then they'll slowly get the offense back to where it should be because you trade Christian McCaffrey and you trade DJ Moore. Those were your top 2 guys. They're now gone. So you got to retool. Hopefully they find someone. I think this is a really good wide receiver class in terms of second, third round. So if the Panthers can find someone in the third round, because obviously they trade their first and second round pick, you know, to get up to 1, they can find someone in the third round, fourth round that's a receiver. They should be able to ascend to that room right away. And there's going to be some good guys there.
Do they still have Terrence Marshall?
They do.
Okay.
They do, but he's been a bit of a letdown. They trade for Laviska Shenault. We obviously know he's been disappointing. So
maybe those two can bounce back, be a little, a little duo. You can kind of trust, I guess. For now, Foreman and Hubbard in the backfield. So if you can protect your new QB, whoever you're going to get, maybe get a receiver or two and see what happens. Maybe another old lineman.
They got $22 million in cap space, so they could sign a receiver. I mean, there's not it's not a robust market, but Jacoby Myers, Pat's wide receiver. I mean, that's not a bad guy to bring in, give him a 2-year deal, $40 million, in total. But obviously, you don't guarantee $40 million. Just $40 million plus incentives. That's not a bad guy to come in, and I'm not going to say be the wide receiver 1, but at least give your future quarterback something to throw to, because right now Carolina doesn't have a ton. And speaking of who that someone is going to be, the number 1 odds have shifted now for the first overall pick. C.J. Stroud, minus 320 time of taping on March 10th, 2023. C.J. Stroud of the Panthers, that's the overwhelming consensus now amongst NFL, media and league people. What are your thoughts on Stroud, number 7 in Carolina?
It's always tough to trust an Ohio State quarterback. No disrespect to Ohio State. It's always crazy that, they play in the Big Ten. They're always competitive. It's like, why does it seem sometimes in the past years that Ohio State looked like they were on the outside bubble of the Big Ten when they played? Like, they looked better than everybody, but certain guys didn't produce in the right way. Like, it's just very odd. Like they were playing, they were hitting the playoffs, they were competing with top talent, getting to the 2 national championship games, right? I believe once with Fields and then years ago. But it's like sometimes something with like the quarterback process and some offensive players sometimes, like even running backs, some have like fallen off. I'm like, what is it? What is it about some Ohio State players? Their defensive players always seem to stay pretty well.
And the receivers, and the running backs, and their offensive linemen. The quarterback is really the one position where they haven't, quote-unquote, hit on. But Justin Fields might be turning the trend there. And C.J. Stroud, for as much as I don't like Stroud in terms of being able to handle the pressure.
Says New Year's Eve.
And exactly. And being able to, I guess, I didn't love his mobility and his escapability. As much as I didn't like that, he put that on display against Georgia. And so, I know you got a month to prepare, and it was indoors and in a dome, and they had it all for them. But if that's the C.J. Stroud we're getting at the NFL level, then he's the clear number 1 pick because he played the game of his life, and Ohio State deserved to win that game. He didn't have JSN. He lost Marvin Harrison, and they were a shank away from
at midnight.
at midnight,
a midnight shank.
Literally, and they would have beat TCU. They would have blown the doors off TCU.
I don't disagree with that.
If it wasn't for that shank, Ohio State's lifting the trophy, and the entire narrative around C.J. Stroud has changed. He would not be minus 320 to be the number 1 overall pick.
He'd be the automatic.
He'd be minus 1,000 to be the number 1 overall pick if Ohio State won that national championship, and it's because of that shank. I mean, granted, there was obviously some mistakes, and over the course of the game, they could have done a little bit more, but that shank really was the difference in what these odds could have been. Now the consensus is that C.J. Stroud is going to go number 1. I love it. I think he's a legit quarterback. I do. After seeing what he did against Georgia, that's a pro defense too. Like, I get it. We talk about the games against Michigan, but Michigan plays a different style of football than most teams do. Georgia, that's a pro defense. It's a pro style defense. They come at you in different angles. He handled it well. And that was without JSN and Marvin Harrison. So you can't say it's on the receivers. Ohio State's got these amazing receivers. Look, the game obviously changed when Marvin Harrison Jr. went down, but you cannot discredit what he was able to do without him on the field. C.J. Stroud still kept the offense moving. He still put points on the board, and they were this close to winning a national championship game. I think this is a home run pick for Carolina. I do. I think C.J. Stroud's going to be a fantastic quarterback. I like all 3 of the guys at the top, honestly. I mean, Stroud, Young, Richardson, they've all done different things, and they all impress me in different ways. But when I look at Carolina, I think Stroud is the perfect fit for them. I could argue Richardson.
I agree with those 2. To me, those 2 more than Young. Just the straight visual look at it.
Right, if I could envision a Carolina quarterback, it's either Stroud or Richardson.
I agree.
I just don't think it's going to be Bryce.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bryce, but
I think Bryce is meant.
he's going to Houston.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a lock there.
But no, I think it's a great trade for the Panthers. They're getting their guy. They're finally putting to rest the stupid thing that the Colts have been doing, which is getting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. That's not going to work out well.
The Colts would be the ones to now go after Stafford now that he's on the market.
Or Lamar. I mean,
yeah, you know what? And that would just be awful because you have, like, arguably in the past 2 years a top 3 or 2 or 1 running back in the league, and you bring in a running quarterback. But hey, the Colts doing Colt things.
That's true. But with C.J. Stroud now being the presumed number 1 pick, and with Carolina trading up to number 1, we've got our STJ mock 1.0. Now, how this is going to work is kind of touched on it briefly, but I'm going to go first. Justin's going to go second. We're just going to alternate. So, without further ado, it's on the big board here. Carolina Panthers are on the clock, and we just got done talking about it. As the representative of the Carolina Panthers, the number 1 pick will be C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. Don't need to do much more explaining.
Start the draft.
He's legit. You saw that game against Georgia.
There he is.
He's got all the tools, ball placement. He worked on that mobility too, clearly over that month span. I love C.J. Stroud going number 1. Justin, you're on the clock with Houston. Let's see who you are picking. I feel like it's obvious.
I mean, it has to be obvious at this point. Houston has been, honestly, the joke of the league in the past couple of years because they're just rotating through coaches. Deshaun and that whole scandal has just torn them down. Now is the time to rebuild. I feel bad for the coaches, interim since Bill O'Brien, that have been there because they kind of got the low end of the poll or whatever the saying is. But it's an obvious choice. It's Bryce Young. You need a quarterback. You need to change things around. You might be having Mechie come back healthy next season after he had his leukemia issues. You got Nico Collins down there. I know Brandon Cooks wants out. Maybe you can find something.
Get him out, please.
Maybe you can find something there. They have a young tight end. I don't remember his name. He's progressing. As long as you can protect him, you get him, and you got your boy. What's his name? Pierce in the back.
Damian Pierce.
Pierce
but you're
in
going
the
to
back.
have another pick at 12 with Houston. So
you get a receiver, or you could get another. That's the huge thing. That's the huge talk. Will they get a receiver at 12? Will they get someone to protect? A lot of discussions. Do you trade Cooks for someone else? Is that a nice day trade? I don't know.
I don't know, man, but that's a great pick. Bryce Young, obviously.
Cannot go
wrong there.
Cardinals on the clock. This is such an interest. I don't know what the Cardinals are
So
gonna
I
do.
don't think the Cardinals stay at this pick.
Interesting.
But for all intents and purposes, we're not going to do any more trades. We already had the Carolina trade, but I think the obvious pick here is Will Anderson Jr. You get a guy on the edge. He's going to set the tone for years to come. Defensively, 2 years ago, he had one of the greatest statistical seasons of a defensive player ever. We know Aiden Hutchinson went to New York, but Will Anderson Jr. was the best defensive player in college football that season. Sorry, Hutch. Sorry, all Michigan fans. Sorry, Lions fans. I like Hutch now. I mean, he grew on me. I know I'm a Sparty, but look, when you're a Detroit Lion, you put the college bias aside and you root for your boys. Hutch was phenomenal, but Will Anderson was that much better 2 years ago. Last season, he didn't really have much to play for. His status in the draft has been locked for over 2 years now. He's the obvious choice at 3. Will Anderson, I don't know if he goes to Arizona, but I like him as my first defensive player off the board. I think he's just one of those guys that breaks a defense or breaks an offense down weekly. And that's what I think he's going to be for a long time. Just
Fair.
a game breaker.
Fair. We're going off of what we think, right? What we expect, not what we want.
It's a little bit of both. Factor it all in, like what you think, what the team could do.
This is
like I think Will Anderson goes 3 no matter who's picking, unless someone wants to trade up for a quarterback. But like for the most part, I think Will Anderson would go 3. And if it ends up being Arizona, I think they go Will Anderson.
Okay, so now we're at the Colts at 4.
This is a tough pick.
This is a very tough pick because they need a quarterback. Are they going to throw another freaking Band-Aid on for like the 75th year in a row? Who knows? Philip Rivers talked about coming back. Maybe sign him back, man. Sign him back. He was the best thing that happened to them, honestly, in the past couple of years. A lot going on with Jalen Carter. If he's sitting there, you know you want him, but you need a quarterback more. And you know, the trade aspect came into my mind, but I don't think the Colts trade this. They need the 4. They need a quarterback. And I think just everything that the Colts are and just how they think and how they move, I'm going to take Will Levis at 4 with the Colts.
No, that's a good pick.
I just feel like
That's a
he's
really
their
good
vibe. Pick. He just everything about him is very the Colt Colt culture. COLT.
No, he does scream Indianapolis Colts, and they need a guy that can come in and play right away. They cannot wait around for Anthony Richardson.
I know.
which is what I'm going to do with Seattle number 5. I think they go with Anthony Richardson here.
Ooh.
I'm reading the tea leaves. I don't think it's speculation or smoke screens with Seattle. Gino's been open to having a quarterback come in and him kind of bridging the gap. I think Richardson is the perfect Seattle Seahawk. He comes in, he learns under Gino, he learns under Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's a young 70 years old. I think Richardson is the guy that comes in, he sits for a year or two. Geno Smith is fine as is right now, and Seattle can make waves with him. I like Anthony Richardson going 5 to Seattle. I think what they're saying right now is true. That contract for Geno Smith is not something that rules out quarterback at 5. Pete Carroll's made that clear, and Geno Smith has said it himself. He will not mind a quarterback coming in to kind of just learn from him. And Seattle's never going to be in this position again. Kind of like the Lions at 6. Seattle's never going to be in a position to draft top 5 for a QB. It's going to be Geno or bust, really. So I think they go Richardson here at 5.
Beautiful pick. Well, now I have the pressure on me to pick for the hometown. I mean, we know Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are going to do their due diligence.
Due diligence.
Do their due diligence. Because you love an amazing... There's so many good corners here. You want an edge. But all things aside, there doesn't seem to be any extreme implications in any form. If Jalen Carter is sitting there, you cannot pass on that man.
No, you cannot.
You cannot pass on that man.
That'd be malpractice. I would be I'd be trying to fine the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes if they passed on Jalen Carter at 6. There's just no way you can pass.
There'd have to be an extremely hidden, something that no one knows except for the league.
Agreed.
For them not to pick them. There'd be a crazy good reason.
Agreed. 100%.
But I mean, he's the guy. If you can't get Anderson, you get Carter. Both of them. If one of them falls, you take them.
I agree, 1,000%. So I'm at 7 here. I got the Las Vegas Raiders, and obviously quarterbacks are off the board. I'm looking at what they need, and what Vegas has not done for a long time, in my opinion, is do a good job of protecting the quarterback. That defense is dreadful, but I think they go with the top offensive lineman here. I like Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State to go to Las Vegas here. He had a terrific combine. He was phenomenal protecting C.J. Stroud. He's a great athlete. He's got great size. I think if they do kind of go the free agent route and get a guy to play for a year or two, you want to be able to protect him. And if Vegas is bad enough, they should be in the running for Caleb Williams or Drake May next season. And having an offensive line established to protect that young quarterback, absolutely huge. So I think they go offensive lineman here. I would go offensive lineman here. Paris Johnson Jr., I think he's the top tackle on the board. I know there's Pete Skoronski, but he kind of translates as a guard or interior offensive lineman. So Paris Johnson Jr. is my pick here.
I like the pick. I think he'd be a good fit for the Raiders.
I don't think like most NFL teams do. I like to go offensive lineman if I can. If there's an offensive lineman there, I'm going to take him.
That's a Brian Campbell way.
I don't think the Raiders will go.
Holmes.
Exactly. I don't think the Raiders will go offensive lineman, but I think they should, and that's why I'm taking Paris.
That's why the boys were hyped when we got Sewell.
I love Sewell. You got him at 7. I think that's a great spot to get your guy. You know he's going to be there for a decade, too. So it's just so obvious to pick offensive linemen. These teams can do themselves so many favors by having a young, talented offensive line that they don't have to pay for a few years.
The Falcons are an interesting pick. You signed Mariota, you drafted a Ritter, hoping he was a little something that you could lean on, kind of like what you're expecting the Seattle situation might be with Richardson and Geno Smith. But they dump off Mariota after they said he gave up on them. Ritter's not ready enough to take over this team or lead them. He can play, definitely, and he can maybe win you a game or two, but he's not ready to carry this team yet. So, but there's not a QB ready enough for them to take, I don't think, at this point in time.
I'm shocked they're not going after Lamar. They have the cap space, and I think he would honestly fit them well.
You think so? It's tough because after QB, receiver would be huge. But, I mean, you got Pitts. You got London. It was tough losing Calvin Ridley, who's now going to be on the Jags, which is huge for them. I don't know, because you look at Weatherspoon or Gonzalez, a great corners, top of the board. And you think, oh, do we need another weapon? You have two guys that you can trust in London and Pitts when they're healthy. So truly, they do need something on defense. So I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson.
That's a good pick.
The edge from Texas Tech.
Some people have him on par with Anderson and Carter. I don't see it that way. I mean, no offense, but you're playing in the Big 12. That's not the same as the SEC. But Tyree Wilson is a phenomenal player. I like that pick a lot. And you're right. The Falcons desperately need defense. That defense was dreadful last year, so that's a good pick by you. All right, so at number 9 here, this is an obvious pick for me. I'm not even going to delve into it too much. I mentioned it when we were talking about Justin Fields in that trade. It's Pete Skoronski. He's in your backyard. You need offensive linemen. I think Chicago made this trade specifically to draft an offensive lineman. Receivers no longer a need for the Bears. They got DJ Moore. It's Pete Skoronski all day. Like I said, he's in the backyard, Northwestern product. You take him. The fans will love him. You plug him in, offensive guard. You sign Orlando Brown, and that team is competing with the Lions and probably the Vikings for the NFC crown next year. So Pete Skoronski's my guy at 9. I would love him on the Lions, honestly, but I just think it's too easy of a pick. He's going to be there at 9 for them, or at least he should be. You take him there. And if he's not there, you take another offensive lineman, maybe Paris Johnson Jr. So Pete Skoronski to the Bears at 9.
All right, to the Eagles at 10.
What do they need?
I know, they just made a Super Bowl run. They're talking you need a receiver, guard, center. You have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith already. You got Goddard. Like, do you really need a draft of another receiver right now?
I don't think they go receiver, but it would not surprise me if they go in the trenches because that's what they do. So it's probably going to be someone either on the defensive line or on the offensive line.
I know. I'm looking at it. I'm like, I could see them taking Kalijah Cansey out of Pittsburgh.
But the thing is, Philly, Darius Slay might be out.
That's what I was going to say.
They're losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Do they go Witherspoon or Gonzalez?
They could just take the top corner on the board at 10. They have what appears to be a need for it, and they'd be getting a guy for cheap. They don't have to pay him. A corner could make sense here. Philly can go anywhere because they have that option. They have that luxury, and they also have another pick at pick 30. So they really could go anywhere because Philly is just. I mean, Howie Roseman, just a wizard.
No, you're right on it. I agree. My movement back was going to be that they were taking a corner. In my mind, I'm debating which one they would take. I feel like they should take Witherspoon, but something tells me Philly would take Gonzalez. But
I mean, there's a Nolan Smith, edge rusher for Georgia, Miles Murphy, edge rusher for Clemson. I mean, there's some guys in the defensive line. Lucas Van Ness, he had a great combine. You could go him.
They need a linebacker situation. It's tough. I feel like they take a corner, though, just because they're losing that back.
I feel like they're losing too much in the secondary. They probably want to get their guy. If they see a guy they like, they're probably going to go get him.
It's tough for me because I feel like Philly would be more Gonzalez, but I feel like they should be like Roseman would be smart and take the.
I think they're more Gonzalez.
You think so?
He's got the size.
That's what I think.
He's got the size.
I'm trusting.
Yeah.
I'm going with Gonzalez. I'm like,
that's a good pick.
I was debating between which two, and I'm like, he just seems like Gonzalez would be the better Eagle. Witherspoon would be more. I don't know. He'd be better like on, an AFC East team, like or NFC North, or like more gritty than. Not that Philly isn't gritty, but just like there's a little more swag to Philly. I don't know, something about it.
No, I agree.
Chaos versus
agree.
Gonzalez more chaos. Witherspoon's more like
with you
captain. There. I'm serious. All that. All right, you're on the clock with the Titans.
This team is gross. So let's just break down the Titans briefly here. Ryan Tannehill's old. He's got this massive cap number. He's going to be the quarterback for 2023. There's talks about trading Derrick Henry. There's talks about maybe trading Jeffrey Simmons, like burning it all down. So when you burn it all down, what do you do? Like, who do you draft when you're completely in rebuild mode? You're tearing it down. What's the first thing you need to address?
should be quarterback, but should be O-line at this point now.
It's offensive line. It is offensive line. So we go with Broderick Jones, the tackle from Georgia. I think that they could go defense here, but considering that they're losing Taylor Lewan, they just let him go. They're going to be in the market for a tackle at some point in this draft, and they're going to go with the guy at 11 because that's what you do when you're tearing it all down. You build from the trenches. Broderick Jones, Broderick Jones, Georgia. He's the guy here. Titans off the clock. Houston is on the clock.
This is controversial because I'm literally. Do you want another weapon for as of right now for Bryce Young? Because assuming Cooks is going to be on his way out, or do you get someone to protect, or do you get someone on the other side of the line?
The trend is to get a young receiver to go with your young quarterback. So, as much as I think Houston should go elsewhere, like mindset-wise, I'm thinking they go receiver here.
I think so too. But I was looking at, could they go down and get Anton Harrison or DeJuan Jones or even Osiris Torrance?
Big Osiris.
Or do you go inside? Do you go find, do you go down and get Mozzie Smith from Michigan, or do you go back up and look at Brian Breesy or whoever it is?
No.
Elijah Cansey. Do you go on the
Yeah.
defensive line? It's a controversy, but I do agree. I think they go receiver. I don't know who they take, though. I feel like they would take Quentin Johnson, but the beauty of JSN could be so much better because if you believe in Nico Collins, he's your big guy.
He's your ex-receiver. 100%.
Exactly. And that's what Quentin Johnson would be, right?
Yep.
He'd come and be that. If you already got that, and who's the other receiver?
They got Mechie.
And if you got Mechie on the fly, Jackson Smith and Jigba is just like a Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Smith and Jigba here.
That's a good pick. His pro comp is right now, they're saying maybe Amon or St. Brown. That's a good comparison for him.
Even though it's unfortunately, don't sleep on Zay Flowers. Jordan Addison also.
With the Jets pick, this pick might be going to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. We don't know yet, but I think if I'm looking at the Jets, their defense was phenomenal. You got Sauce, you got Quinn Williams, you got DJ Reed. They got guys all over the place, but I think they needed someone on the edge, set the tone, get for the quarterback. I like Nolan Smith here. Georgia, phenomenal combine, ran like a 4.39. He could be a stud at the next level. He's trending upwards. So Nolan Smith is my pick for the Jets at 13. I think it's a nice spot for him to land. And in a defense where Robert Saleh is going to expect a lot out of him, I think he'll bring it. So Nolan Smith, Georgia, edge rusher to the New York Football Jets, 13.
I get our boys.
Pat's on the clock at 14.
They don't need a QB.
No.
They got Mack. They got Bailey Zappi. I think they're fine. So which side of the line do we want?
The offensive line is a desperate need for them, but they just lost Evan McCourty to retirement. You don't know if you're bringing back Jonathan Jones. You're a year removed from losing J.C. Jackson.
Do you need a corner?
That secondary is desperate for someone, but that offensive line is also desperate for someone. They got needs on both sides of the ball here. So really, it's wherever you want to go. You are on the clock here.
I'm trying to think of Bill, because Bill's not a normal drafter.
No,
Bill's
not.
Old school in the way he thinks. He could easily take, an offensive lineman. He could go grab Anton Harrison. He could grab, who's the other one I was looking at? DeJuan Jones. He could go farther down. But I could definitely see him coming for a Brian Branch or a Joey Porter Jr. Potentially.
Devin Witherspoon's still there.
I know. He's still there too. And that's where I'm looking toward, in the fact that he's the vet. He's got that just simple mentality, strategic. He knows the game. He's not trying to fool around. He's not messing around. And that might be something more Bill might like.
This is a tough spot for the Pats because they have a lot of needs. 14 doesn't really offer a ton of them. Like, I think they could really benefit from one of the top tier offensive linemen.
I think
like
so
if you could get Broderick Jones or Paris Johnson, that's probably what in my eyes, Bill would want the most.
he
But I
would
think at
take it.
14, I feel like corner's the pick, but that's just because I think it's got the most value left on the board here. I don't see them going receiver in the first round.
I don't see it either. And I think, even though I think he would take Witherspoon over Porter, I think there's something about him that he would like Brian Branch if he wanted a safety. But I think Witherspoon would be the pick here.
Okay.
I don't truly think that. I agree. I think he'd take a defense.
It could be Branch. It could be Branch, though.
I think he would take a defensive or offensive lineman. Truly. But, so controversial.
Bill doesn't really go defensive lineman, though. They're not. The Patriots are weird in the sense that they don't really emphasize edge rushers.
I'm going to trust. I feel like he would take Brian Branch, but.
I think Branch might be the pick here. Doesn't he scream Patriot?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just the vibe of him. Like,
I think it's Branch, dude. I think it's Branch, honestly.
I'm taking him. That's why, like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like,
yeah, no.
Bama Bill, man.
Yep.
Bama Bill.
Yeah, it just feels that way. Bama boy. You know Bill loves his Bama boys. And Brian Branch is a stud. I think that's a phenomenal landing spot for him. If I'm as a Pats fan, I'm like, do I want a safety in the first round? Probably not, but it's fine. All right, so Packers are on the board. They might have more than one first-round pick. We don't know. But I think this pick is easy. He slides them at 15. Miles Murphy comes right in. Mm-hmm. Packers, what do they focus on the first round? Typically defense. So I think they go Miles Murphy here. You add a guy to the edge. He's pretty versatile, too. Can play a ton of different spots. I think he'll slide in nicely there in Green Bay. So Miles Murphy, you pair him with Rashawn Gary, and you pair him with... oh my gosh, what is his name? It doesn't matter. You go on the clock here. I'll pull up his name.
Miles Murphy to the Packers.
Miles Murphy to the Packers, 15.
Disgustingly, Washington Commanders on the clock at 16. They need QB. We know. Guard. We know. Center. We know. Linebacker. We know. It's an interesting spot because do they want to take a shot at, a Witherspoon or Joey Porter at a corner? My eyes are moving toward a lineman or Van Ness out of Iowa. That could be a factor for them. I could see him definitely going to Washington. Also, Brian Bresee.
Brian Bresee.
He could be an outlier, too, because we're expecting him to fall due to the past injuries.
And I was thinking of Preston Smith, by the way. He's getting old. He's 31 years old. You get another guy to come in on the edge. That's what I was thinking of for the Packers, but continue.
Yeah. Washington's not taking a QB. They are putting right now faith in Sam Howell. I don't know how much faith that is, but they need to protect him. They definitely need to protect him.
They have a lot of issues.
But the thing is, I don't see them going line. I think they go Van Ness.
You pair him with
Deshaun Hand.
No, I'm sorry, not Deshaun Hand. Deron Payne.
Yes.
And Chase Young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they already got Montez Sweat, too. So I don't know if edge is like their biggest need.
I know. It's up and down.
It's the Commanders. Like, you don't really know where they're going to go.
I don't think they take Witherspoon. I don't think they take Quentin Johnson.
No.
Kalijah Cansey, but
no, they got no room for him.
They need the guard. They need the line. Do they take Anton Harrison?
I could see them going. I don't know, dude. This is a tough pick. I don't envy you with this pick here. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
I feel like I gotta take an offensive lineman.
They could go corner. They could.
You think so?
It wouldn't surprise me.
You think they would just take it just because Witherspoon fell this far?
I mean, maybe.
I don't think they take him either. He might not even be here. I feel like I gotta take a lineman. Do I take Anton?
No, I mean, there is a need for corner on their roster. I think Witherspoon makes sense here, honestly.
to be fair with the draft stock. Yeah. If they're not focused on QB, because it's pretty much offensive line or defense.
Yeah.
So do they take best available?
I think they do. I think they
With
go
Witherspoon?
Yeah.
I think
Might as well.
I think I know who you're going to take next.
Yeah, I'm going to take Joey Porter
I knew
Jr. There's a clear need in Pittsburgh, and I mean, I hate to do it again, but he's in the backyard. He's playing at Penn State. He just screams Steeler to me too. Physical corner, can really get up in your face. It's a perfect pick. It just makes sense. Joey Porter Jr. in the black and yellow. Lions on the clock.
Lions obviously have to take Bijan Robinson here, right? Right?
I mean, look, they just got Jalen Carter, and Kalijah Kancey's still on the board here, which is crazy with the combine he had.
I know. Do you load up that defensive line? Do you load it up like that? Do you pop out, grab Van Ness on the edge? Do you look at Brisset as well? Do you trust in him?
I mean, I wouldn't hate you if you went Bijan here. I wouldn't hate you for it. I wouldn't, honestly. You got Jalen Carter. You get Bijan. That's two of the top,
And
six
you
guys
re-sign
in the draft.
Jamal, and you're just chilling with three dogs in the back and
Jeez.
Carter up the middle.
I mean, I do like Osiris Torrance here, too, as like a Lions fan.
I was thinking about a lineman, too.
But, I mean, I don't know. I think you could just say, screw it. Give me the best player on the board, and that's Bijan.
Yeah, for us.
I mean, if you're Brad Holmes and you have an RB room of Bijan, Swift, and Jamal, I mean, that's a three-headed monster.
And you also can figure, and if you're resign Jamal, you can obviously easily be like, oh, Swift or Bijan, let's see right away.
And Swift's going to be gone. If you draft Bijan, Swift's out of here. You have him for one more year, he's going to be out the door. So
Because he's not going to probably be used that much.
Exactly. Even if he is used, he's going to be used as the pass-catching back. I mean, it makes sense for the Lions to go Bijan. But it's your pick. I don't want to influence you. I don't want to make the pick for you.
I'd love it if they took Bijan. It's always fun when your team takes someone spicy.
He would be bold.
Spicy mustard.
Bijan's Dijon?
Yeah. My mind tells me Cansey or Brisset, but I will, for the people, take Bijan.
That's a great pick. We love it. We love it.
Oh, Tampa. They need everything now that Brady's gone.
They do, and I think this pick is obvious. Kalijah Kancey. Phenomenal combine. You're kind of rebuilding. You're stuck back to where you were. And truth be told, I think it just makes sense. Like, that's really all it is. Tampa emphasizes defense. They have some needs on the offensive line, but they're in cap hell, and they got to rebuild. They're going to go best player available. To me, that's Kancey. So the Pittsburgh product, he goes to Tampa at 19. Justin is back on the clock with the Seahawks, who just got done taking Anthony Richardson.
Now this screams, hey, look who's still on the board. It's Quentin Johnson.
Does he fit, though?
I don't think he fits Seattle's vibe.
I mean, DK's already kind of that big body,
I know, but
physical
DK's probably
receiver.
like, get me out. But I don't know. It might change a little because now that you got your boy K9 in the back, Geno Smith coming back. If you got Richard or you got A. Rich coming to town.
Young offensive line.
Young offensive line.
The defense is young.
The defense,
but it needs something.
It needs a little more juice right in the back, right?
Definitely.
And juice in the back.
Anywhere, really. I mean, they're kind of like the Lions, where they could use something on all three levels.
Do you take Van Ness? Do you take Deontay Banks? Do you take Brisset? I feel like they got to take. I feel like Seattle would go defense here.
I agree.
I also like Mozzie Smith or BJ Ojulari.
Oh, boy.
Sleeper. What about Felix and Duke Uzoma? Or do they come out of nowhere and grab Osiris Torrance
I like Osiris,
to
but
build up the line?
I feel like they got to go defense here.
I know, and I don't know who they take on defense. I could see them taking Van Ness. But I don't know if he fits the Seattle vibe.
It's tough. Van Ness is a good player, though. Like, don't get it twisted. He's a stud.
I don't think they take him though. I don't know who they take.
It's hard to
Maybe
see him
they
like
take a
sliding this far,
guard.
but at the same time, I kind of get where you're coming from. Does he fit Seattle?
I could see him going next if the pick wasn't forfeited.
I mean, I think he's. I mean, he's probably the top player on the board. Do you just take him and
Ride it
go?
out.
I mean, they don't have an edge rusher. He
go
would
with
fill
him.
that need for them. I mean, you might as well take him. Yeah, Lucas Van Ness. He's off the board. He's off the board.
Just like that.
All right, so
We
let's
still
see
got
let's
another
see
like
what we
10
got.
picks and the
We're good. We're good. Don't worry about it.
10 picks.
I'm going quick here because at 21, you got to get my boy Herbert some help. And you go once again to your backyard. You take Jordan Addison. He did not test as well as I thought he would at the combine, but you turn on the tape. He gets open. Great hands. I think he's just one of those guys. Herbert has never had that technician, that sneaky guy that you can throw in the slot. He really hasn't had a good slot receiver. I think Addison becomes that guy for Herbert. So Addison, 21 to the Chargers. Justin back on the clock with the Ravens.
Is now the time. Do you finally get a receiver into Lamar's place, or do you just not care? As the GM who's seemingly blaming everybody but himself, what do? I feel like you got to take a receiver here. You got to give him an opportunity. They're hating
Yep.
on Rashad Bateman, but he's kind of the only guy that's been out there. And do they even throw? Not really. It's always to Mark Andrews if the ball's going there. Get another guy out there. I honestly like Zay Flowers in Baltimore, but I feel like you got to take Quentin Johnston.
I think it happens.
I think it happens finally for Quentin Johnston. Keep the purple alive.
All right.
Viking.
So with the Vikings, yikes. They just lost to Darius Smith. They're losing Adam Thielen. I think this pick is obvious. He's kind of fallen down the draft board. I think it's just Brian Brisset. I think you take a guy to plug in on the defensive line. I know that secondary is awful, but you know what helps the secondary that sucks? A good pass rush, and Brian Brisset can contribute to the pass rush and the ground game. They've been taking defensive backs, feels like, every year in the first round, second round. They got plenty of opportunities to make it happen. Go with Brian Brisset at 23 at the Vikings. It just makes too much sense. He's fallen on the board. He fits the purple and gold. So, yeah, Brian Brisset.
The beautiful, beautiful Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jags, baby.
They on the rise. I am all in right now, and I'm vibing. I didn't in the past, but after this season, I'm very vibing with Duval. I like the Jags. They need a little bit, maybe more protection for Trevor Lawrence. Could use some more stuff on the defense. The offense seems pretty locked in, Got weapons out there, especially with Ridley coming in. You tagged Evan Ingram. You got ETN in the back. You just trust your boys. So I think they go defense here, honestly. But what do they go? Do they grab Deonte Banks the corner?
It's not a bad fit there.
I know. I feel like they would grab a corner. They have to grab a DB. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. Someone either because they just drafted Trayvon Walker, they got Devin Lloyd, the linebacker.
You need.
It feels like defensive back is the move there. I could also see Osiris Torrance too, someone to fill in on the middle of the offensive line,
right down the road.
right down the road.
The
It makes sense,
backyard
too.
boys.
I mean, I've been taking a lot of backyard guys, so I don't want to.
I don't. The thing is,
but
I don't hate that for the fact that they do need another guard or center. So I'm vibing with the backyard boys. Give me Osiris Torrance.
Big Osiris. That's one of my favorite picks. I love Osiris Torrance. I actually really want him in Detroit, but he makes sense there at 24. That's kind of where the guards go, mid to late 20s. It's a beautiful spot. You protect Trevor Lawrence. You can find a defensive back in free agency. All right. The Giants are on the clock. We know what their receivers look like. They're not great. But I'm looking at this team, and I think, do I love Daniel Bellinger? I don't know. I don't. But I'm looking at Daboll, and what I like from Brian Daboll is he's been able to find ways to get Daniel Jones in situations where it's super low risk and he can take care of the football and make the right throw. And I think they end up going, the top tight end on the board. Give me Michael Mayer here. I think he slides right in. You can find a wide receiver in free agency. I know it's not great, but you can find one here or in the second round. It's a deep wide receiver pool. A lot of the guys with similar talent.
Oh, gosh.
Josh Downs, Zay Flowers. They don't really separate for me here, but Michael Mayer, I think he's one of those guys. So, yeah, Giants go Mayer at 21 or 25. I'm sorry. Mayer, I don't know. I think it's Mayer.
And I have...
They go 25.
The next awful pick at 26, I got the Dallas Cowboys. What is the biggest name left on the board?
Basically, they're going to get Odell. Odell's probably coming back to Dallas here.
Real talk, I could see them going after Jahmyr Gibbs. Just for drama.
They say screw it.
Literally just for drama. They're like, oh, yeah, great guy, Alabama guy. It's Alabama, so we're good. Ooh, I love seeing Zach Charbonnet up there. I don't know. If we're going big names, I could see them taking Jahmyr Gibbs. I could see them also taking B.J. Ojulari. I like that pick. You know what? I'm going to send it. Maybe they're partially reasonable for once, but they still get a little chaos. I'm going to take Ojulari.
All right, he's off the board. B.J. Ojulari, edge rusher, LSU.
I'm intrigued at this pick that you pick for this.
The Bills are on the clock, and it's a simple pick for me. I think they go Josh Downs here. They get a guy to pair with Stephon Diggs. He's not the same receiver that they've had in terms of, he's not your typical slot receiver, but I think he could play the slot. I think he's just kind of one of those guys that slides in and makes life a little bit easier for Josh Allen. He's not a guard. I think they need a guard, someone to come in the middle of the offensive line. But you kind of heard what they said in the offseason, or I guess the postseason press conference. It's hard to get guys in the first round, like a Jamar Chase. Well, it's time for Bean to shut up and take a guy here. You go Josh Downs. You pair him with Steph Diggs. I don't think they're very hot on Gabe Davis. I don't think anyone is. Josh Downs is the pick for me.
Now I got the Bengals on the clock. Oh, Joe Burr, my boy. What do you need? Protection.
Yes.
But you're also what? You're losing Jesse Bates. You may be losing Von Bell as well.
That could be an issue. The back end of that defense could be an issue.
Need a new safety or a corner.
Well, they did draft Numbnuts from Michigan, right? What's his name? Forget his name. Daxton Hill. They got Daxton Hill. They got Numbnuts. Daxton Hill. No, Daxton Hill's he came on late for Cincinnati. He's actually a good player. I'm not trying to offend the man, but no, he's a solid player.
I feel like the value is needed more to protect Joe. So do I look at the line? Anton Harrison, DeJuan Jones.
Well, Leo Collins did tear his ACL, right?
Avila.
So, who knows if Leo Collins is going to come back in time, and that offensive line still was not 100%. So I feel like you got to protect your boy Joe Burr here.
I don't know which offensive lineman to take, though.
It don't matter.
Anton Harrison, DeJuan Jones. You know what? I'm going to go DeJuan Jones.
He's a big body. You throw him in there. I love it. All right, so.
Here they come marching in.
Yep, the Saints are on the clock. What do they need? That offense feels set to me, and that defense still feels pretty good. I just don't love what they bring to the table, but they probably could use a corner here. But the Saints are like that upside. They like that upside. And I think I don't know. What I feel when I look at the Saints is like they were just so meh last year. They were just so meh. And I don't feel like they're going to go meh with this pick. You know what I mean? So call me crazy. But I think they take a little bit of a dip and go with a guy that had a phenomenal combine. And that is, and I'm going to butcher this guy's name hard, but Adetomiwa Adebore. I absolutely butchered the name. Adeborare.
From Northwestern.
Double A.
Adetomiwa Adebore.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Adebore.
Adetomiwa.
Adebore.
That's insane. But he had a phenomenal combine. Terrific athlete. You got 2 Northwestern guys in the first round. How about it? I think the Saints go for the upside with him. He brings it to the table. They go defensive line.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Zay Flowers still chilling there. Do you want to go grab another receiver just for the fun and giggles of it?
They could.
They could. They really could, especially at the end of the first. I could totally see them take a Zay Flowers. I don't think they take a receiver. I think they go some sort of line, maybe. I don't like anybody here.
Does it feel like Anton Harrison just kind of falls into their lap here and they just take Lane Johnson's replacement, basically?
The best available, yeah. I think so. I think it'd be between Anton Harrison or DeJuan Jones, whichever one kind of falls in their lap. I thought DeJuan Jones went to Texas.
No, Ohio State.
Oh, I was wrong. Yeah, I'd have to go Anton Harrison. They need to keep protecting Hurts. He's the value. If you took your corner already, just take the best value right now because you don't need a receiver. So
with the Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs on the clock,
literally.
they have Mecole Hardman probably gone. Orlando Brown Jr., who knows what his status is going to be. I hope they can bring him back for Patrick Mahomes' sake, but if they're on the clock here at 31, they have to identify need because they have Patrick Mahomes. It's about what you need. What do the Chiefs need? And if they're not going to bring back Mecole, we don't know what the status is on Juju. Kadarius Toney is probably the only guy that's confirmed in that wide receiver room.
MVS,
I don't see it. I think they go with Zay Flowers here. You take a receiver, you get the 5th-year option. That's been a big trend, too. Teams are more apt to take a receiver in the first round to get that extra year. Zay Flowers, sneaky slot guy. I think he kind of becomes what they expected Sky Moore to be. Zay Flowers to end the first round. And there you have it, folks. STJ's Mock 1.0.
There, we can run it down real fast again.
Let's do it. All right, so number 1, going to the Panthers now, C.J. Stroud. Number 2, Bryce Young to the Texans. To the Cards, Will Anderson Jr. Colts take Will Levis. Seahawks take Anthony Richardson. Lions get Jalen Carter to fall in their laps. Las Vegas takes Paris Johnson Jr. Atlanta goes Tyree Wilson. Chicago goes Peter Skoronski. Eagles, NFC champs, they go Christian Gonzalez. Tennessee goes Broderick Jones, tackle. Houston goes Jackson Smith and Jigba. The Jets go Nolan Smith out of Georgia. The Pats go Brian Branch from Bama. The Packers go Miles Murphy from Clemson. The Commanders take Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Back to the top, Pittsburgh goes hometown here with Joey Porter Jr. Lions get Bijan Robinson, the stud back out of Texas. Bucks go Kalijah Cansey. Seahawks go Lucas Van Ness. The Chargers go Jordan Addison. The Ravens go Quentin Johnston. The Vikings go Brian Brisset. The Jags go Osiris Torrance, my man. The Giants go Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, the tight end. Cowboys go up on the board. They take B.J. Ojulari, edge out of LSU. The Bills go Josh Downs. The Bengals go DeJuan Jones. The Saints go Double A, Adetomiwa Adebore. I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. The Eagles go Anton Harrison, tackle out of Oklahoma. And to round it out, the Chiefs go with Zay Flowers, the electrifying receiver out of Boston College. STJ Mock 1.0 is in the books. It'll be posted on Twitter, Instagram. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait for the draft. And here's a little sneak peek of what we're feeling on Squeeze the Juice.
Enough said.
Enough said.
That is all she wrote.
That is all she wrote. Stay tuned this week. Brackets coming out. We're going to have an episode earlier in the week for you guys. We're going to have more picks, but don't forget Kansas State plus 1,000 to make the Final Four. We love that pick, and we hope you guys enjoyed listening. Longer episode, but a fun episode. Mock drafts, trades, tournament time. It's March Madness in more ways than one. Justin, what an episode, man. What a treat it was.
Absolutely. As always, follow all the socials, STJ Sports Betting, on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you know all the rest. Follow us, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, comment, like, turn on those post notifications, let us know your thoughts, your worries, your concerns, your love of our mock draft here today. Whatever you don't like, whatever you love, let us know. We are here for the people. As always, thank you guys for watching or listening, and we will see you early next week on a new episode of Squeeze the Juice. Peace.
Let's go, baby.